3, 2, 1, go. All right, we're actually here.
Oh, we're live. Oh,
yeah.
God, we're live.
We should be pushing through at this point.
Oh, yep.
Cool. Woohoo! Yeah. Popping in for our own stuff.
It's like a 1 second delay, but that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, actually. And we're looking pretty good, too. Cool. Okay. I do believe that everybody's audible. We're using something a little bit new here, which means that I didn't have a chance to like construct scenes and make it all pretty fast. Things that we can do, like that, which I cannot underestimate how amazing that is. So
I like that we can all see it too. So we know what you're looking at. You can't hide anything from it.
Yep, it's fantastic, and of course everybody can see everybody's name. So now we can actually really get this going.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, you know. Going to be adding something midstream. We're going to just test this thing to its limit.
And it feels like we haven't talked about this game in a while.
Yeah, it's been at least 1 week, Mist. How long has it been?
It's been a minute.
I know that you guys encountered Mr. Glass right away, and then we had to stop there.
I think that's how we stopped, yeah. We stopped right when we encountered Mr. Glass.
It was like, I heard you've been looking for me.
Well, it's when we decided that he wasn't a threat.
Senor.
Mr. Glass.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah,
Good news, everyone. Yes, he looks that old.
Gosh. Okay. Well, let's see how this worked out. Cool. Wow, all that stuff uploaded really fast. Cool. Can I?
We need to get more people in here for that hype train.
Yeah, no kidding. See exactly what the hell's going on, right? Okay, so yeah, we ended with Mr. Glass finding out that, or excuse me, we found out that Mr. Glass was not in the, he wasn't in the villain camp.
Which was very surprising.
Yep.
Oh, there's that music.
Well, the background stuff is pretty nice. You can actually add whole lists all at once. It's pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And I can do it midstream, so it turns out that I can be seamless about it. All right.
I never want to change midstream. It burns.
See a doctor. Okay, gotta grab some other ones, but yeah. So he was just standing at your door, looking pleasant and gentlemanly.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing that Hugh did was like, "Hey, I'm Hugh Man here, at your service," kind of thing.
Yeah, well,
you know how he
basically greeted himself, and he said, like, glad to finally meet you at this point, and then offered to come in at this point.
It's like, oh yeah, we've got tea and coffee. Come on in. Just like making himself, even though it's not his house.
Okay, let's see here. If I'm not mistaken, that was. I wonder if I can. Do I have to be on the page for it to work? Nope. That's not gonna work there. That works. Well, yeah. I mean, he's just like.
Well,
he does his greeting. He does his greeting with you. At this point, like he shakes your hand and he just nods his head. He takes his top hat off, swinging it to the left and kind of curling it under the arm, and just waits to be let into the room. Kind of acknowledging the fact that he was always going to be the one that breaks ice, even if it's not necessarily what is preferable by everyone else.
Well, you know how it gets down. What was everyone else's reactions? I mean, everyone came down when the door knocked.
Well, they're all kind of like struck a little bit. Malcolm might be different. Barnaby is just kind of waiting pensively in the background. As far as Estelle and Tiberius are
What's my
concerned.
mom doing?
She was starstruck, right? She's like, Duh.
Well, she's definitely intrigued by a lot of this. It's one of those things where she's trapped in between being, sane and at the same time just trying to keep cool. Tiberius is just kind of watching the whole situation like, he can't really believe that this is what's going on right now.
The thirst is real.
So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of hard to ignore. But I mean, like I said, he's just standing there waiting since Hugh's the one, like I said, breaking the ice.
Oh yeah, he's like, come on in. Like he's ushering him in. He's gonna go to
he
the.
Nods his head. He's like, "Thank you."
Do you take tea or coffee?
Whatever you have available. Surprise me.
Both. What do you prefer?
He just shrugs his shoulders. Whatever's easiest. He just looks around at everyone.
Do we have a Keurig machine, like a futuristic Keurig machine?
There's something much more sophisticated than that, much more useful, but yes.
Use like 6 sugars, like that's how.
Twist a lemon.
How do you take
Sweet
your coffee?
Low.
No, thanks, Turkish. I'm sweet enough.
He asked how you take your coffee.
He's just like, black is fine.
All right. He's going to start preparing that.
He steps by, as Tiberius, Estelle, and Danny at this point, walking towards the table. He seems to be quite comfortable, as a matter of fact. Loose at the shoulders and not looking for any kind of enemies. He's not scanning the perimeter or the inside of the home. He's not like a lot of the people that you have met that seem to have this sort of sketchy, wary, paranoid trope that kind of is standard for anyone in the, in and amongst the city proper. It's survival, always survival. It's always kind of like that. And, even though Danny, Estelle, and Tiberius had gotten used to their high life in the penthouse, things have changed so radically that it's become a part of your repertoire personality-wise. So it's interesting to find somebody who is utterly and completely relaxed. Even around Malcolm, Mr. Glass expresses no sense of any particular dread.
So while Hugh is getting that coffee prepared, he's like, it's funny you should come when you did. We were just in this what was it, a Neverland, Danny, that we just found in this house. It has like a repository of all this knowledge. We were learning about you.
He just nods his head, taking a seat at the dining room table. He's like, I'm aware that you've all been learning about me, and I understand that it must be a little bit unnerving.
Oh, it's fascinating. Like, what are you? You're awesome.
More of the same.
How do you know that we've been learning about you?
That's the only reason why I've been here. You're concerned about the fact that so many things have been happening in strange ways. Introductions to entirely new realms, the Grand Marketplace. Elements of your parents' past, Danny, are definitely of concern and curiosity for you, I'm sure. And the fact that everything surrounding your friend, he thinks for a minute, Silva, if I'm not mistaken. But you've also recently been taken to court for various accusations of traversing realms in an illegal fashion.
Unfounded.
I do not. It's like, he just nods his head. It's like, settled. He's like, settled, more accurately. It would appear that several members of that court in particular are very keen on finding out what it was that was creating all of this extra noise.
Objection! I love that series.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
So he just takes the coffee and he's like, this is going to seem a little extreme.
Oh, go on.
Like, that's a relative term.
Not in this case, it isn't. You're already aware of the events, or at least starting to uncover what had happened some 20 years ago, which is what brought you upon the trail, which is preceding me, and that's why I know. It's because, well, you've linked yourselves to whatever greater destiny I have to work with. And I'm hoping that I'm coming to the end of the road on that, to be honest.
Neat.
So, given your perspective, is that more of a getting back to our quiet lives or more of the same?
Worse before it gets better.
Did we
when it
decide
does
if he's
get
like
better.
a harbinger or if he just happens to be
Well,
there
no,
when
according
stuff
to
happens?
the index, he's been basically the one who's like changed the course of history for the good. It seems that's why Hugh decided that he wasn't on an enemy, like Lily's
So-
last session.
Okay, he's not like a herald. He shows up and then the bad stuff happens.
He's like more like he saw that the bad stuff's going to happen and did
Major events, good or bad, major events, he's present. That's the reason
true,
why
yeah.
you guys were starting to think that maybe it was something different.
Now, Mr. Glass, I don't mean to be discourteous at all, but it has been rather more lively than some of us have wanted it to be. What exactly is it that you do?
What would you say you do here?
Unlike the belief of some, especially those in the court, Baphomet included, he looks over towards the stairway where you see a black cat that had just happened to appear there. And then when it becomes noticed, goes running up the steps, vanishing into smoke. Shakes his head. It's Nicodemus, yeah. He just shakes his head.
Knocks over a
Always
base.
trying to find me. Either way, I'll give you a little bit of context. You'll know that this is the truth, and the only reason why I'm going to bring this to your attention is because it's required. He takes a sip of the coffee you brought him. It's required because, despite the fact you are sitting here in vague disbelief, there is just that much disbelief that I must dispel. 20 years ago, give or take a few, depending on what pattern has presented itself, a serious event occurred, and you're mostly all aware of it, maybe not you, indicating Danny in this case. But those of you who lived through it, even in your childhood, are aware of the fact that your memories are slightly hazy whenever you get to a certain point. Like, maybe things didn't quite pan out the way you were expecting. Changes occurred, but they were also very familiar, so you dismissed them. Those changes proceeded to become normalcy, and therefore were written into your long-term memory as being what it was. The oddity of what it was you couldn't quite put your finger on was dismissed as fluke. It wasn't a fluke. A radical change of rather cosmic proportions took place not too far from here. As a matter of fact, north and just west, and one of the larger combat zones that has been utterly scaled off, was where the event took place. A rather pronounced threat was brought to heel and destroyed. The group that was responsible for this is aware of those changes, and they prevented a mass disaster from occurring as a result. The only real way to stop a freight train from colliding into a wall is to put it onto a different track. Trying to stop it altogether is impossible. All they did was put it on a very sizably different track. As such, a rebalancing occurred, and now you have this present reality.
I like
Oh.
this reality. I'm alive.
Wonderful. For what you're alluding to is essentially there was something catastrophic and it's been delayed.
Delayed was what it was originally. I thought it was forestalled entirely, but whenever my visions continued to occur, I knew it wasn't the case.
Aye, and what do those visions tell you now?
That here and now is where I'm supposed to be, in this exact place, along with the rest of you. As a matter of fact, I believe that I've been sort of creating the circumstances under which you find yourselves.
Oh,
And
so you're the one
everything when
who's
it
been leading us
comes.
here.
Well, at first it was inadvertent. I can't really keep track of all the threads that I have an effect on. But once those threads come closer to the core, that's when I start to take notice. And you guys have definitely come close to the core at this point. Whatever entity, whatever strange occurrence that was forestalled, or what I thought to be completely and utterly taken care of, well, I would say it's a new plan. If it was the old plan, then delay would be what was accomplished. It wasn't a delay. This is a total re-strategizing. I can't exactly identify what it is, because it's the only thing out of very rare few that manages to keep itself concealed from me. But the pieces that are collecting together and how they cooperate with one another is what I can see. And this group, all of you, seem to be a part of that, which is why your lives likely have been upturned rather abruptly over the last several months this year.
Just look at Malcolm.
Aye, and with that being said, how does this help the wee lass?
Well, in a long story short, her curse seems to be something very much tied to the events we need.
I thought something
some kind
that
of
we
fix
picked
on.
up in an interdimensional is what's going on. Is that part of their big master plan then?
Are you sure it was something she picked up, or is it something she always had? Exactly.
It came out once we came back from the other place.
You happened to notice it, is what it was.
Dormant.
Fluctuating through everything else, and all that you have been doing so far was, well, it was basically the seeds that were planted that were necessary. And she's coming about on the circumstances as they are. And you all happened to notice when it occurred. It was approximately that time shortly after your most recent arrival, and then you had your conflict with several clerics, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was rough. We had a werewolf bodyguard that took on like a gravity bomb. It was crazy.
I do believe that must have taken place afterwards, but her initial strike happened to be when you returned from wherever it was that you went to. I think it was New Avalon. Or at least what...
You got a better memory than me. No, that's out of character. I just forgot which one it was. We got attacked in a safe house many times.
Yeah.
It's like the safe house was...
It's not safe.
It was one of the first safe houses you guys went to. It's the clerics came through and busted the place up, and you had to deal with well, I can't remember it was last name Alan. I can't remember what his first name was.
Steve.
Yeah. But regardless, you guys managed to kill him, but that was it was one of those things where Silva got knocked for a loop, mostly unconscious, and things started going haywire after that.
Are you self-appointed?
That's, well, ironically, no.
Who do you answer to?
Well, I don't answer to anyone but humanity itself. That's my whole purpose. When human beings are under threat, that's where I show up. To make sure that the course does not land itself into said wall, that the track changes.
Who gives you your performance review and lets you know what
How would you
you're
know that
doing
word, Danny?
Good?
Malcolm is just staring at Danny going, who is this child?
I'm just saying. It's kind of dandy to say I answer to humanity, all 14 billion of us. Like,
so you're answering to me. I am humanity.
Yeah, this is I pay your taxes.
Oh my
I pay your salary sort of situation here.
Malcolm's just sitting there with like his fingers on the bridge of his nose, head bowed.
Does Malcolm count as humanity?
He's part of the ecosystem in which you breathe, eat,
I thought you said
and interact with, so yes.
So who holds you accountable?
It's not a matter of accountability, you see. If I do nothing, then every horror I visualize, or sometimes I've considered it cursed to visualize, in
You just
rather
kind of
blistering detail, will come to fruition, and I don't need that. No one does.
Malcolm just kind of points at Mr. Glass. Just give me a minute. So Danny, just like us, there's not really a lot of choice that the man has.
I mean, inaction's a choice. He's seeing stuff happen and he's choosing to intervene,
Yeah,
but not always.
And surviving mind-numbing terrors is what we've been
That-
doing this entire time. Those just happen to exist in his head. And then he gets to
Yeah.
see it happen.
I mean, who doesn't have mind-numbing terrors, right?
Well, if I hadn't have intervened in the one that occurred 20 years ago, this would be nothing more than, well, in the next 100 years or so, would be referred to as part of the boneyards.
Oh,
Not the
well,
boneyard.
That's delightful.
Have you ever
Um,
watched any old movies, Danny?
Like from the 50s?
2050s.
And he's just like shaking his head, like more like the 1990s.
So 100 years old.
Old movies.
On
yes.
what device?
If I'm not
A
mistaken,
thing
most of these
called
things have been digitally recorded.
VHS.
Yeah.
Tiberius is like, I've got a box of cables. We can do it.
I've got the dad box.
This
What's
has
that
been
filled
passed
with?
down to me for
Cables.
4 generations.
Yeah, he just shakes his head. It's like, I want you to take that as a hard no. And like,
I
takes
mean-
a drink. It's like, there's a movie
No.
called Terminator 2 that actually took off in popularity, especially during the robotics revolution at that time. And it was sort of spelled out the various fears and concerns that people had that, well, kind of this was going to happen, indicating outside. And it's like, but much worse. More or less nuclear holocaust. And after which most of humanity was basically destroyed. Now, that was through nuclear weapons and machinery. Try to imagine what it would have been like if a nuclear holocaust of a similar ilk were to occur, but it was caused by supernatural entities of near indecipherable power that also would run rampant, more or less feeding on the terror and fear of the citizens, while the majority, something close to 35% of them, as you put it, the 14 billion, which is only a rough number, a bit exaggerated, but 30% of that would be dead. Or, excuse me, 30% of it would actually still be alive. The rest would be dead. The 30%, nothing more than food.
Delicious.
If you think your life is difficult now, try to envision that hell.
No, I mean, I made my zombie plan years ago. I go out.
No zombie
quick.
plan would have had you prepared for this. You
No,
would have
no,
been
no,
at
no,
the
no.
very least.
I don't want to live through that. I go out quick.
He just shakes his head again. It's like, point is, Estelle's like, wait, stop. She's just been listening to this dude talk. She's like, are you trying to tell us that somehow or another we're all interlinked into some other track change? He just nods and says, like, yes, you have a part to play in it.
Neat. So, what, Mr. Glass, what do we need to do? I mean, obviously you're on the up and up, and I want to help prevent anything like obviously something I don't remember from 20 years ago.
He just like kind of goes inward for a minute and then comes back to the forefront of his own mind. I do have a few things that I would like to have you look for, if you can. There are elements that are indeed problematic. The unseen court, not necessarily the full organization and its royalty, but the actual justice arm of the unseen court is looking for what has been causing all kinds of trouble because, well, again, 20 years have passed without any kind of real difficulty or problem yet. The real difficulty now is things are starting to occur in ways that are very similar, at least in some subtle patterns, that were like maybe 2 centuries ago, when things started to really go awry.
That's well and good, but can you give us information on how to help Miss Silva? I mean,
Well, that's
I
part
get
of
the
it.
grand scheme of everything, of impending doom, but the reality for me is, I don't care. I care about Miss Lass. I care that she is healed of her affliction.
Yep, let's get our friends taken care of
And,
first.
the Fates can stuff
Suck
it for
it.
all I care. And I don't mean to be rude to your calling, sir. But
He's smiling the whole time.
we have been thrown into hostile conflict again and again, played around with, toyed like a cat with a mouse. As far as I'm concerned, I'm done. I want it done, and I'd like answers. I get the grand scheme of it all. I get the importance of it all. But my caring only focuses on that one central thing. Fate be damned.
Well, as it turns out, it's going to be fate that's going to save you, despite your, well, sort of vitriolic
Recalcitrance.
opinion. That works too. And he's just like shakes his head. The main thing, and he takes a sip of coffee. He's about halfway finished. The main thing is you're going to be looking for something a bit new, and that's going to be for her sake. As a matter of fact, because she's linked to all of this, fate will be helped regardless, and you'll get what you want at the same time. I have several individuals that I would like to have you look for, because they might actually have what you're looking for. Plus, well, it'll get you on the right track, needless to say. Not that I'm looking for you to have anything done explicitly, just be yourselves. And besides, you've been proven to show that you can handle yourselves under extraordinary stress, even any of those combat scenarios that you've encountered at this point. Well, you've survived well. Let's go back to this. What's this? I can't escape destiny. So he ends up putting down on the table several cards. They look kind of like business cards, but they have calligraphy on them, like handwritten calligraphy.
Cool.
These are the people that I would like to have you seek out and investigate.
I like that.
Nice.
Oh, this is on stream now, though.
Fuck.
Yep. It's on there now.
I mean, Danny's natural distrust of adults is like really high.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm gonna pick up the cards and start looking at them. Are they like playing card size or?
No, they're business card size.
Oh, okay. So I'm. What do I see when I look at them?
Names. Duh. Anyway, I'm kidding.
Oh, beautiful framing. Or what does this he say in the American Psycho when they?
oh yeah,
the
the
embossed
eggshell. It's embossed.
eggshell white. Yeah.
He's gonna send us to the shadow realm.
It's time.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So what's on the cards? Names. of
Names.
Whom?
3
Names of
people.
who?
There's 3 cards, 3 people.
Are these like the 3 people we must kill in order to answer your riddle? In order
He
to
just
unlock
shakes his
the
head one last
piece
time,
of
taking
time.
the coffee all the way down to the bottom. He's like, it's going to be a good thing, and I'm going to tell this to you too. He indicates Tiberius and Distel. It's like he grows up to be kind of well-read and polite, surprisingly enough. When Tiberius just kind of like thinks about it for a minute, he's like, "Thank God." Like,
And then Malcolm's like touching his heart. Be still in my non-beaten heart.
and then he takes the hat, he puts it on, he's like, "Well, that's all the time that I have, so I must leave. I will probably never see you again. I hope. That way we know that things have gone in the right
Same.
direction."
Same.
And Estelle's just like, "Well, I mean, you've been good enough to talk to." He just kind of like, he smiles. He's like, "Trust me,
Oh, it's not doing it.
all of us want for me to basically fade away into obscurity. It'd be better for humanity that way, I think." And he steps out of the house. When he does so, everyone kind of watches him for a minute. There's this subtle, like, poof noise that comes from down and around his feet. He just lifts off. Like, he's like this, and it just goes straight up in the air like he's on some fast-moving elevator or train. But he just goes up through the air.
Goofy. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah.
It's like both of you are thinking the same thing.
Like minds, what can I say? Okay, so, Estelle's like, well, they tell you not to meet heroes or anything like that, but he wasn't so bad. Like, Tiberius is like, Danny's going to be well-read.
Yeah. I don't buy it.
Wow.
Just,
I've never been given more hope in my whole life. And, like, he just goes back over to where the coffee pot is to pour himself a cup. So, let's see here. I'm going to pop in. We have...
So, what are these names?
Into it.
Are these like people we're supposed to kill or save or?
I think it's
Forward,
more of
forward.
like make the judgment on our own. Are they worth it? Or as he's saying, they need to be gone.
Mr. Glass it just said we need to find them.
Aye. So
And then
whatever
be
the names,
yourselves.
You're the one with the cards.
Oh, I guess I could read them, huh?
These are 3 small children that we need to assassinate before they grow up to become horrible megalomaniacs.
Barnaby just like bonks you on the head. He's just like, "What is wrong with you?"
I'm tired of people showing up, telling us what to do, and then disappearing.
He's like,
Didn't you
"Well,
ever play games
honestly,
as a kid?
he didn't
This is a
actually
quest."
tell us to do anything except for be ourselves." He's like, "So in other
I'm
words,
being
you probably go over there and burn
myself.
the business cards and be done with the whole mess if you really wanted to."
Or maybe he said, be ourselves, Donnie, don't.
I'm just saying, if I had, all this power to like blip in and out of people's lives, I would just like do stuff instead of getting some
Would you?
teenage kid to go do stuff for me. It seems a little
Ah,
reckless
well,
and irresponsible.
Aye, but he is Violet De La Rosa, Zachary Fulhurst, and Emma Carth. Anybody?
Didn't we know Violet?
Yeah, Violet.
Previous game.
Was it a previous game? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
That's when they knew they done fucked up.
it was at this moment they knew.
Who was that we were working with before in this? So,
Anubis
that
was the one who had
it wasn't
the
Violet,
name.
right? If it wasn't Violet,
It was not Violet. You were working
Okay.
with a mystical artifacts collector.
yeah, not the Keeper of the Ways.
Yeah, no, it was Natalia, and I can't remember her.
Oh,
last
that's
name.
right. Yeah. Okay.
He's locked in now.
I just know, yes, correct. It is not Violet.
Yeah, no, it's not
It's
Violet.
the
Yes,
character
no,
from
correct.
last season.
Last season. Oh my god.
All right.
So Barnaby's were getting himself coffee alongside Tiberius. They both come back into the dining area, and they sit down. And Barnaby's like, "So we got to track down 3 people, be ourselves," he says, and hopefully this leads us to some comprehension as to how to deal with this.
I mean, he didn't really say what we're trying to do. So, considering his past history, him telling us on what we're doing should avert some kind of crisis.
Oh, how do we greet them? Oh, Miss De La Rosa, we don't know why we're here to see you, but apparently the universe is going to end. Could you help us?
Maybe
It's
these are
like-
people who were involved in the thing 20 years ago. And we're, 3 heavenly spirits to remind them to correct their path of life. So Danny's going to try and search them up.
I think I've read that. It's called The Christmas Story. And no, I am not the ghost of Christmas past.
Either way, it's like, well, obviously we've been already gearing up for all kinds of research. This is just more of the same. Thanks to what he called the unseen court, or the justice arm of the same organization, because of them, we can move around freely, which I can't really put my finger on it, but that's an insane amount of power to be able to remove, well, more or less being wanted by an underground hacker with skills that are insane that we can't confirm is either dead or alive yet. Not to mention the fact that the whole situation has just been boiled over. So, I mean, find these people, see where it leads. And then he's like,
frankly,
go ahead.
I think we need to use what we've already seen. Nicodemus, here, kitty, 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 kitty.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should probably talk to Baphomet because he's gonna be interested in this information.
He says, I've got a saucer of milk for you.
Well, that's a really good expression on that cat.
I love this gift so much because the one cat is just like talking shit to him. And he's
What's funny is
holding
that
back.
has been memed all over the place. That's really funny.
Like 2 seconds later, it's an uppercut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna investigation check. I'm gonna like grab and start typing in names.
Yeah, same.
Yep, let her rip.
Low hanging fruit.
And Malcolm's just gone, here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Starting to sound like a something similar to Adam. Like, here, kitty, kitty, kitty.
Okay, I'm gonna open up my character sheet.
For the
I was
first
gonna
time in a while.
spend IP. Oh well.
Oh,
Next.
Well,
time.
you can spend it any time. Remember,
Yeah, I know, but
you're like, it breaks my immersion.
I'm just beating myself up for not doing it earlier. 5 times
You got
your
14 on my
current
investigation.
skill in order to level up your skill.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Oh, I have 120 IP.
It's called an immersive experience.
I'm gonna level up my investigation from an 8 to. I'm gonna take a rank in it finally.
You've been helping me investigate, so it makes
Bump
sense.
up, yeah, that's what I was gonna do. Bump my investigation from an 8 to a 9. So I was coasting purely on my natural talent, and now I've got some training.
9999.
Immersive experience. All right.
D, have you ever walked out of a movie theater because
Yes.
of like you didn't want to like the movie? I mean, not like you got sick or something, but
No, I've walked out. What is this?
Do a 12.
All right, I see it.
I've never walked out of a movie theater.
the only time I've actually left a movie early was for Suicide Squad. That movie was so boring. I couldn't. I was at the climax
I
that I
don't
left.
even remember. I don't even remember what movie it was. It just
I'm pretty good about not going to a movie unless I think at least halfway that I'll like it.
yeah.
But yeah, I've had to leave a movie early because somebody pulled the fire alarm during
That's why I reiterate. That's why I changed what I
midnight
said.
showing of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Someone pulled the fire alarm. Now this is back when you had to like wait for your seats, like go in line and then like run to a seat and not prepay tickets. I was mad. So I lost out on good seats.
Okay, so we got a 12 on investigation. You're probably using your smart brace to do what you need to do. Hugh or anyone else?
I did.
You got a
I
14.
Okay.
But I'm not. I'm just looking for preliminary. Like, do these people exist in like the net kind of thing? Like,
Well,
Just-
Violet
I'm basically
Dolorosa
Googling their
pings
names.
all over the place. She's massive.
Yeah.
She's got news that ripples all about her. She is probably considered to be one of the most dangerous and ephemeral underground bosses to really run throughout the New York sector entirely. She's considered to be extremely dangerous to interact with, especially for people that she doesn't like. As for the other ones, Zachary Fallhurst kind of seems like a nobody. He's got certain skills that ally him with like technology and make him, someone who would be good to have if you're looking for, variable resources and things along those lines. He's got a minor criminal rap sheet that you can pick up from public record, but that's as deep as it goes. The one that's really an enigma is Emma Karth. She's younger, probably 15. Not certain what her deal is in the situation, but she goes to school. She doesn't really have much to speak about in terms of her past life. She's got various social media applications that she's involved with that, most of it's protected because you have to. But what little you can glean, and this is going for the both of you, what little you both can glean about this girl is that she's normal, like completely and utterly normal. It goes across the spectrum from this incredibly insane sort of like celebrity level famous black marketeer to this nobody.
oh, I'm definitely going to investigate more on her first.
Yeah, right, because we
Oh.
only see what they want us to see. So maybe Violet wants everyone to see scary, unapproachable.
Well, that probably helps her in her business dealings in terms
Yeah.
of intimidation and terror, but hard to know if that's exactly all the way intentional. But yes,
But we don't
yeah,
see her
as Emma-
Pinterest account and how many flower arrangements she likes.
It's there's images and things like that from like various stories where she's been pulled to the foreground and that kind of thing. But it's that kind of classic newspaper style photography where it's not up close and personal. It's the saw her on the side road next to her car and snap
Right.
a photo, that kind of thing. Or
Paparazzi
seen
style.
from this webcam, we can identify that this is her under these circumstances. And then there's like the numerous court proceedings, which is like she was sued for this or accused of that, and blah 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 blah.
Which
Didn't
has
she
have-
disappeared.
Didn't
She's-
La Rosa have like all the robots and stuff in our previous campaign?
She had a lot more than robots, yeah. But you were correct.
Yeah, but
She
like,
had
didn't we bring her a bunch of like an army, basically?
Yeah.
You guys helped her out because you guys had
We were arms dealers.
purchased a bunch of like, yeah. You guys went through and got a whole bunch of stuff that was from the before it was Bushido Defense Works. It was Arasaka, but yeah, a whole bunch of robotic drones used for combat.
A little bit of meta knowledge for those listening.
Average encounter. Well, all right then.
So Danny's gonna take what he's been able to find and
Yep.
go back through to the Neverland to talk to Index. Oh. Do we just lose D?
How are we still here? Are we still live?
Yeah,
What's happening?
we're still
Yeah,
live.
it's still on.
We're still live.
All right. Well, quickly, here's what Danny wants to do. I'm going to go talk to the librarian, Jude, and say, hey, this person looks like they've been around the block for a while. Do you have any info on them? And that's why we win.
That's what knowledge is power. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah,
we were more
streamed it.
alarmed that the stream was still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Didn't
could hear you guys
stop.
just fine, but apparently,
Did you like remove yourself from it on accident?
well, what I was trying to do is like close it out because I had to, I have to basically take a quick step away, so I'm going to do that anyways. But go ahead and strategize what you guys want to do. I'll still be able to hear you, but I'll be
Okay.
right back.
You should just do this.
Shh. Don't tell him.
So anyway, yeah, that's what Danny wants to do. Is like, okay,
We don't want to interrupt the flow of your thought. Midstream.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think Hugh's gonna do his gumshoe thing. I mean, this is like what he knows how to do is find people and find things. He's a gopher, so
yeah.
And Malcolm's just exasperated. He's completely out of his depth. I mean, he's just been trying to guard and protect Danny, and he's just trusting that Hugh and Danny will know what they're doing.
But like seriously, this Mr. Glass guy shows up out of nowhere and is like, I'm mysterious. Here's 3 business cards.
I mean, Hugh's
But
already down because
if you trust him, what could possibly go wrong with that?
yeah. Well, he's hopeless romantic. He sees the good in everyone.
Yeah, I mean he could totally be genuine, but
Just go with
we-
that.
yeah,
See where it
we-
takes you.
knew him for 12 minutes. If another random person shows up at the door and is like, I heard that you need the toothpick of destiny. Like, I'm not going to immediately be like, yes, let's go look for it.
I would be. I mean,
I
that's
need-
right up Hugh's alley.
I need some credentials. Danny's been taught stranger danger, you know? Like, other than you two, literally every adult he has met has tried to kill him.
That's a good sizable reason for paranoia.
So,
if I'm saying so myself.
Danny's going to the library. Hugh's going to go do his gumshoe thing.
Yep. I'll
Okay.
probably go back to my office because I got all my stuff in there. That's my
Estelle and
function
Tiberius
area.
will accompany Danny to said library just because
And,
they want to be helpful.
and Malcolm will accompany Hugh because Hugh should never be left unsupervised.
Oh,
Well, and obviously Barnaby's got some things that he can do on his own. He basically asked Danny for a little bit of permission. He's like goes back into the Neverland that you all discovered and starts talking to Index about things.
That's where Danny was going to go.
Yeah. Well, good. So he's with you then.
Yeah. Bit with the under the premise of like, okay, Violet, at least, appears to be a big deal person. Has she been around? Has she been making waves for a while?
Yeah.
You know, so
something around maybe 22, 23 years she's been doing. So and she's managed to keep her seat of power for an extended period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That'd be pretty big for someone in the underworld, right?
Yeah. Well, no. As far as the underworld's concerned, I mean, having a tenure of maybe 10 to 15 years is considered ridiculous. You know, without having anybody, you know, break or go against it. But she's been so regulatory and profoundly on top of it that she's extended that to wait. I mean, she's broken the record.
Well, she's got to evolve. You know, she can't. Right, like you have to change up your game, otherwise some new up and comer will take you down. So,
well, and she's always keeping herself in tow with the right people, and she has probably one of the most loyal. I don't have another word for it. One of the most loyal henchmen ever.
Yeah.
For reasons unknown, but yeah. So, the investigative point from the library was, I think I missed that though.
What do you mean?
Your focus on what it was you were researching in the library. What were you focusing on?
I was just trying to learn more about Violet specifically because she had the biggest splash just glancing at the smart brace to see.
Well, Index will actually employ both yours and Barnaby's smart brace to accumulate information since he's not really tethered to the outside. He's going to have to rely on what you guys can find. But he helps get things going and, you know, to assist you in your research. So if you want to do that investigation check again, you can actually apply a D6 kicker when you're rolling this, since you're basically getting the assistance of Index and Barnaby both. Nice.
17. Basically, I'm just offloading my research and letting him collate results.
Right. So, Index starts to put it together, and we'll come right back to that. And we're going to Hugh's office, and that would be along with Malcolm, if I'm not mistaken, with Tiberius and Estelle going through the library. So, huge portion of the group went to the library.
I think they were calling it the library now.
What else to call it? I don't know.
Sanctum Sanctorum.
Book repository.
Better than a book suppository.
Gotta get your fiber somehow.
Oh.
Wowzers.
I like that. Shove it up your butt!
Yeehaw! Well, anyway.
Okay, but if you're peeing and it's blue, that's also a problem.
Unless you're like that one guy in college who tricked all of his friends with blue dye. Basically, even a small portion of it made them pee blue for weeks, and he put it in brownies.
I'll say that happened to me from my doctor gave me something that was like, oh, by the way, because I freaked out because my pee was green.
Yeah.
Like neon green?
Yeah, like Gatorade. Like glowing.
Sounds like a fucking franchise. Anyway, so pea green Gatorade. Get yours today.
I'm
Full
sure.
of electrolytes. It's got what plants crave.
Indeed.
I love Rondo.
So you were going to go and research Emma Carth at your office?
Emma is who I'm researching, because
right.
the vibe I was getting was that, like, when you do a quick Google search, like, it's basically the opposite of what Danny was thinking, which is like, he's like, oh man, she's putting on such a big vibe. I'm gonna investigate because she must be hiding something. It's the exact opposite. It's like, this person Emma is so innocuous that there must be something very important about her. As far as, like, because the benefit for Glass is that he took everything at face value that Glass said, and so the three people are of utmost importance to him, and so he figured the hardest person to track down will be the one who's not well known. So that's That's his thought process on why he's looking this way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At least that's my thought process.
Okay. So, did you already roll that investigate check? I didn't see.
Oh, I didn't. You didn't say to. I guess I should have assumed.
Go right ahead. Yep. No, go right ahead. You're good.
And I got a 17 on that one.
Cool. That's interesting. The fact that you guys lined up on that front. Okay.
That's with
So,
the kicker.
17. Yeah. So, at this point, whenever we get down to it, so I'll go back to Danny real fast. With everything that you've been looking up about her, it takes, we're talking at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. He can go through it real fast. Index is just exceedingly happy to be able to acquire new information. Of course, he starts to compile the information into a new tome that is not so much just a compilation of new script and so on, but also it's kind of this weird anthropological / cultural look on what's going on. It takes on an older feel to it, where it's kind of this higher level analysis from a more academic side of things, kind of matching the rest of the books that are here in the collection. But when he does that, and this hour and a half, this period of time passes, he is like, I think that's more than good enough. I don't think that she is someone that you would want to be interacting with. I can suppose, or at least I can guess, that she's probably, she's unique among, even among the people that were part of the underground, as far as our previous research has shown. Many of those who actually decide to keep themselves out of the way for righteous reasons or wrathful, they have a tendency to be, circumvented rather quickly. And the fact that she sustained herself for so long is problematic, to say the least.
But Mr. Glass says I have to go say hi to her.
Well, did he exactly say that? Or did he just say to look into?
He said I wasn't really listening. Find her and be myself.
I suppose it probably means that he wants you to find her location. Granted, somebody of that particular nature is not going to have just a singular location, and they're going to be very discreet about wherever it is they find themselves to be, unless it's conspicuous on purpose, like going
he's
off and
also
having
not coming
dinners and
back.
such.
So, it's not like I report back to him, oh, we found her.
Well, it does beg the question then, doesn't it? And Barnaby is sitting behind you up against a bunch of shelves with his leg out, and he's just kind of like doing this number. He's got his hand up over his head. I mean, she's basically a queen pin, for crying out loud.
Yes.
What are we supposed to do with the information once we know where she is, so to speak?
I mean, I know the way I used to get attention in a grocery store was to just knock some stuff over on the shelves, and then somebody appears very quickly to help you. I don't want to do that in your territory. That sounds like a good way to get dead.
Yeah. Big time. Like dead.
So maybe we name drop Mr. Glass if she's so prolific, been around for a couple decades. Maybe we say, hey, send her a message somehow. Hey, Mr. Glass says we should meet.
Actually, that's not half bad.
Only someone very clever or very stupid would make that claim, right? So hopefully...
Yes, I mean, if she understands it, I would assume that's probably the case. She's probably going to keep herself tethered in there with all kinds of people, and he just nods his head. He's like, yeah, that's actually not a bad idea at all.
I mean, I'll trade on his name. If she doesn't know who he is, then it's of no issue. Right?
Fair enough.
But if she does, then hopefully that'll get her attention in a good way.
Well, I suppose we'll have to make the best of what we have. We just basically have found out some of her resources, and you're just making suppositions, or are you basing this on evidence, indicating the lectern with the holographic person on top? Index is like, I actually can make all kinds of suppositions, well, educated guesses, and given the length and breadth of her, well, I would say almost next to underground empire, she's got resources equivalent to that of a large and well-funded corporation.
Right, that's
Something
like
in
the
that
same as a
respect.
small country.
At least around here, she counts as probably one of the major, well, as he said it, it's a queen pin. She's basically the queen. She's the underground queen. Getting an audience with her would definitely be difficult, especially if you're a no one that's never interacted with her or has any ties to any of her associates. And as as he agrees, I agree as well. It's actually not a bad idea to use the one variable that even you don't fully understand to get her attention. That could be worth your while. I sincerely hope that she doesn't have any kind of pull reaction to it, but you can't obviously expect her to take you seriously in any other capacity, so why not?
Yep. All right, done.
Yep.
I wonder what
It's like, good. I like having a plan.
You didn't do the.
It's not working.
Oh.
Oh,
Sad
no.
time.
I know.
Your magic
Well-
power broke.
Barnaby stands up, rubs his
Wait.
lower back and his rump, and he just basically goes, we've been here for a long, long time. I figure that we could probably go over to wherever Hugh is and start basically comparing notes at this point, find out what he's found. What the? That's a
How'd you
new
do
one.
that? Are you clicking a button? Because you're not doing any, like...
I'm clicking a button. I don't know how to make it do that. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I guess there it is.
Fantastic. All right, so yeah, he's just like, I suggest that we go find Hugh and find out what the hell he's been up to since, obviously he's Hugh.
Oh, perfect timing for Mr. Bill.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, it's all good.
We just
At
went.
least you don't have somebody in your ear. Don't want to interrupt you midstream.
Kiddo's having a rough night.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. He'll be fine.
Just
Okay,
tell him about that.
so-
You made your friend laugh while peeing.
So, whenever we get to a point where it's roughly around the same time, so about 2 hours and like 1.75 hours, excuse me. Hugh, you're gonna get a call from Barnaby at this point.
Okay.
He's just over the phone. He's like, "Hey, we've managed to consolidate as much as we possibly can. It looks like she is an extreme powerhouse, but thanks to Danny and some of his quick wit, we actually might have a way of making an introduction if we really can manage it.
Excellent.
So we're headed
Yep.
back over to your office, of course, to compare notes. We'll see you in a jiff." And that's where it basically ends with the phone call. Now, as far as you guys are concerned, this is what you've been able to find out about Emma Carth. For all intents and purposes, in every way possible that you can imagine, she's a normal 15-year-old kid who actually happens to have it a little bit better than most. She's got a decent school, as opposed to being like full private and totally wealthy and all that other stuff. But she's in a part of the community that's more on the fringe of the city proper, so it lands sidelong a lot of these centralized areas where you have gated communities and so forth, and stays away from large, like the coastal metropolis that is what everyone's been so familiar with lately.
Mm-hmm.
But she's active constantly and seems to have a good deal of friends. Now, you couldn't bypass any of the security in terms of what she had locked down and what she didn't have locked down, especially considering the fact that the only way to really get her attention would be to find some sort of net association with someone she knows, even in a vague sense, and then find your way over to get a friend invite, etc. Which, granted, your circumstances and the situation that you're in, hard to pull it off when you're going like, "Hi, I'm a fully grown man that you don't have any knowledge about, and I would like to be your friend."
We need Silva.
It's not weird at all. Oh God, what I hate to. Oh no. So yeah,
I was actually
mean,
thinking that she might have been like a friend of Silva's, like someone
No.
who would be able to help
Silva
her.
doesn't seem to have any direct connection to her whatsoever. As a matter of fact, Silva is part of the well, I don't know, probably part of the rats in the rat maze of what you would consider to be the present Night City situation. I mean, she's loner, doesn't really interact with much. Oddly, if you start going down that pipeline as well, make me one more investigation check, actually.
I'll just slip into her DMs. I'm joking.
Sure, why
You would
not?
not do that.
Yeah. Yep. Double
Stranger Danger is much bigger in Night City, I'm sure.
Everyone's more likely to have a switchblade to take care of the.
Is this another investigation check?
It is another investigation check, yes.
Okay.
All right.
Actually,
So
I think
when you start
investigation
looking
would be-
for
but whatever.
ties between Emma and Silva, you start going through and you start to realize that a lot of what most of what you guys hadn't really had a chance to do was investigate Silva's background in depth. I mean, there'd been a little, but you stayed out of it for the most part. You had gotten a hold of her in other ways. But the more you started to dig in, you start to uncover some interesting things. Silva has certain ties and certain history with somewhat nefarious and interesting people, at least in her earlier life. From her mid-teens, her association to a larger foster group, which is worse than foster homes, is basically, it's not quite an orphanage, but it's a little akin to that. She was basically in the system from the start and then vanished from that system. And then you can find relative similarities between certain events and her past and how they link together. And then there's this whole thing about robberies that started to occur in her nearby neighborhood that had no discernible element of cohesion. They couldn't figure out how they got robbed. It was locked behind vaults, locked behind certain gates. There were security systems and things like that.
That makes sense.
Right. It starts to tie together. Then there was an association with a kind of a local low town neighborhood. I'm not a gangster, but he was just basically a vagrant. And what happened to him was that he died. Shortly after that, she kind of disappears from all reference. The robbery stopped. But there is a interesting association between these two, where they were robbing and the things that they were going for happened to be in, pretty distant, wealthier locations. And it so happens that Emma Karth is probably in a vague proximity to some of that. Well within 5 miles.
A little bit of overlap, okay. I'll take note of that.
Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, so as we're landing, when it comes down to it, we'll be getting on the outside of Hugh's office. And Malcolm, in the meanwhile, just out of curiosity, while they're kind of doing their computing stuff and you're just kind of tracking and watching Hugh's movement and work, what are you up to? Just out of curiosity.
He's watching. This is
Waiting.
beyond his field of understanding. I mean, he's just basically a glorified park ranger to begin with.
You're a glorified park ranger that's also a
he's-
vampire, so.
He's taking this as a moment in which nothing is trying to kill them.
Go ahead and make an awareness check, actually.
Oh, high blood pressure. Don't.
Walk right into that one.
This is why you always got to be scanning, Bill.
Scanning.
Malcolm,
Scanning.
peace and quiet for a moment.
Oh, you got about an hour and 45 minutes of it.
The average and easy encounter are both coming to knock on the door at the same time. Say hi to Malcolm.
Yeah.
Would you like to buy Girl
He doesn't
Scout
know that.
cookies? They made it for you, Girl Scout.
12. It's night.
Another
City.
Addams
It's-
Family element there. Are they made from real Girl Scouts? Well, you don't really happen to notice anything at first. So Danny, when we're coming through, you and Barnaby are walking up to the office. You will also make an awareness check.
Hey, okay. Oops, not daily. D10.
16. Let me see.
I got a 19.
Okay. I'm waiting for Danny here.
The application did not respond.
Well,
Yes,
Is
again.
the dice made you screw it up? No. There it goes. Holy crapola. All right. Well,
We're 25 if it's magical hijinks.
yeah. So you're walking along these streets. You happen to notice there is something very interesting. So you're on street level, you're moving through the crowds of people, and you park the car elsewhere at a secure location, mainly because of the fact that there's nowhere to park down at the lower levels anyways. And while you're stepping through this hazy crowd of people, the what you get next is that there's kind of this they're referred to as rigs, these bipedal robots for the most part, but they're just called rigs. And you see something that you thought was probably just regular old-fashioned drifter or somebody just kind of hanging out, happens to be a rig with a really sleek frame, and it's keeping at a distance, but it's monitoring your movements, and you can tell that's the case. It's at this leaned back, foot out, just up against the wall, leaning onto it with its head slightly lowered, and it's got the hoodie with the hood up. What gives it away, though, is that there is something about it. It's not moving at all while it's monitoring you. It's not like it breathes. It's not sitting there making subtle movements. It doesn't even shift. It's almost like a statue that's wearing clothes. That's what makes it so unnerving
alarming.
to look at.
Yeah. No, sir, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. This is what Danny is seeing.
Yeah. That's why I was having him roll awareness.
I thought you said Hugh roll awareness.
No, I said Danny.
Well,
That's okay. Killer awareness, though. 19's good.
I was aware of my my work.
Yep.
Because like,
Danny,
Danny's aware of something.
The air, it is dry.
Human's got Danny sense. Anyway.
Peace and quiet.
What are you gonna do, Danny, with that information?
I mean, I notice it noticing me.
Yeah.
And I
Does
just,
it notice him noticing you, noticing it?
yeah. I just kind
Are
of
you gonna
like,
are you gonna point it out to Barnaby, who's also your bodyguard?
Hey, Barnaby, look at that.
I
Yeah,
just,
just point at
yeah, like in the cool like code that Barnaby and I have from all these years of working together. I'm gonna be like, there's 3 Dorito chips in the bottom of the bag or whatever, to like signal subtly.
Well, I mean, in this case, you could just be like, you just get his attention by eye, and you just got all you have to do is like 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Just like, and he'll basically turn to the right just slightly. He'll just kind of eyeball it out the corner of his eye, and he's just under his breath, really quiet, almost inaudible. He's like, "The dude in the hoodie."
Yep.
He's like,
My Danny sense is tingling.
"That's gross," but yeah, we'll keep moving. When you get up to where the door is, that's where it's where the rig actually kind of picks up and starts walking down the street, starting to head that way. It's casual pace, but it's noticeable that it starts moving
It
when you
is
get to the door.
exactly casual.
Yeah.
Like they dialed it to casual,
Yeah. Yeah, no, he ain't doing pimp swagger with the. But he's casual, all right. It's like tail.
Yeah, but or who?
He's like, I have no idea. It's starting to get weird out here already, of course. Nice one. Good job.
Nice swag.
So we outside the.
Well, we're
Cube
headed in towards the lobby of the main
building?
business structure, and we're going to be heading up there, and it seems like it's following in pursuit. But it's moving at a pace that's both casual, but it will catch up.
Okay. Can I like the smart brace? You can like text and whatever from it, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna text Hugh like we're on our way up. We're being followed. So it's probably gonna be like WRONUPFLWD. Like I'm gonna try and like do it subtly, and it's gonna like autocorrect and.
All right. Well, you get a text message away from Danny at this point that basically indicates that they're coming in. They're almost there, but they have a tail.
Do I have a surveillance system?
I mean, you probably would have for the
Malcolm.
front door and to be able to buzz things through that kind of thing because there is security down on the lower floors. This is a business office, so
Right.
it has hours, and if you want to get in after hours, you have to have keys and key cards.
Cool.
Oh yeah, are we during like business hours?
I believe you guys are. Yeah, it's in the middle of the day still because you guys kind of
Okay.
woke up late.
Yeah, we had
You've been moving
breakfast
around.
and then
Yeah.
like we were doing tea and coffee and all that stuff. So
Right, which is also, like I said, but Malcolm was able to get up and maneuver around because he got himself completely concealed under clothing and was able to maneuver outside despite his, general fatigue. But it's only fatigue now as opposed to bone-chilling terror from being in the sunlight. And perk is very handy.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna relay this to Malcolm. Was like, well, looks like Danny's bringing some company. People are following him.
Danny's
You want to
got
go
the
check it
heat.
out?
Oh, Danny, finding new and interesting friends that are trying to kill him. That's something I never expected. And he just
He's right outside. Let's go say hi.
walks outside. No,
Yeah.
you stay
All
here.
right, so you go up and open the door. See somebody like this about ready to knock on the door. It's a man who's probably in his mid-20s, it looks like, but he's definitely geared out in cyberware. Left eye is all chrome. That's it. You can't see anything else. It's pure silver. You can see where there's been some reinforcement along the jawline. He's wearing a very nice suit, the kind that would probably cost maybe $800 or $900. He's like, well, that was prophetic.
Yeah, and he was
No,
gonna basically
solicitors.
shove Malcolm out of the way. He's
No,
like, oh, you
Malcolm-
met me.
Malcolm goes, no solicitors.
No, he actually. So imagine this. He actually puts his hand in, like, pushing on Malcolm's mouth. It's like this. It's like, you heard her. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like pushing him.
Yeah. He just kind of like raises an eyebrow. He's like, yeah, you're just as on.
Malcolm, why don't you take care of our friend? Give him a warm welcome. Come on in, sir. What's your name? Like,
Hugh the
Malcolm
human
does not
Labrador.
let him through and says, hey, warm welcome. Normally, you would explain pleasantries, but no solicitors.
He's like, well, that's good because I'm not a solicitor. I'm actually a customer.
so he was basically pushing Malcolm out now. The
Yeah.
front door while shoving.
We're
the
going to
guy
do
in.
a body check.
Okay.
See if we can actually do that.
Oh, should I do a check too?
You're gonna do a body essence check.
Yeah.
We're
Against me.
tired of hiding the bodies. Is that what you're up to?
He's typing.
Let's see how this works.
Wow. What was my threshold?
Well, the threshold is you're competing against him, so it's whatever he gets if you're trying to
The
like.
target's usually 8.
It's always going to be 8 unless I specify otherwise.
So I have 5
Fine,
successes.
otherwise. All right, just a moment.
Just a moment.
Just a moment.
Why does it say you have 0?
Because I didn't.
Because he didn't set a target.
Oh. Making it confusing on me now. All right. Okay.
Yeah, well, we're showing roll mechanics and how they fail.
Yeah. Let's see. I just had to refresh myself on my body.
7.
All right.
Okay.
Roll 10d10. Explode. Or not 10d10s.
Oh, I was like, whoa, you. You've been working out.
So he goes to move in. You basically just hold your person in the doorway, and he just kind of pushes up against it. You actually feel your shoulder shift whenever he's pushing against it because he only failed by 1. So he got 4, you got 5, but you feel that pressure, and it seems to be pretty easy for him to apply that kind of pressure. He's like, did I do something to you in another life or something, pal?
No.
You're so ominous.
And her bright, he's like, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to confer with Hugh Mann here, who apparently is an investigator. I have interest in his services.
Oh, I could always use money. Thank you. Come on in.
And then he just went, and he just
goes like, I'm trying, but apparently the bearded skirt-wearing weirdo is not letting me into the room.
And he goes, behave. And then he just like moves to the side.
And he's just sort of like, he brushes his suit off where he like made contact. It's like, right. And it's like shuts the door as you leave.
So who we staying with, Malcolm or myself?
Well, Malcolm left. He left the office. So you're here with this strange younger man who's cyber-teched up. So
Okay.
you're not sure what his deal is.
The choice was what I was asking is if you're following Malcolm to go deal with Danny and all that.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
is-
where's the camera going?
yeah, where's the camera going right now?
In this
Okay.
case, we're sticking with you for just a moment. He's like,
Okay.
well, he's pleasant. Is he
you-
like the
once you get to know him,
janitor or something?
oh no, he's my friend. Once you get to know him, he's a fluff ball. Just
I
a
mean,
little bit protective.
clearly hasn't shaved in a while. And what's that smell too? It's like mothballs or something.
Yeah, he's got a wardrobe of
Condition.
got a condition. Yeah, that works.
He takes a seat in front of your desk, and he's
So
like,
he would already like indicate it's like, well, have a seat. Have a seat.
Yeah,
I
he just
provide
does.
all manner of services
as if it was
what can I
like
do?
already ordained.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just sort of like, well, it's good to finally meet you, Hugh. I've been kind of looking into, well, individuals such as yourself who have a unique talent for finding things that are need to be found or investigating circumstances that seem unusual. That is your forte, isn't it?
Absolutely. Anything you need, I'm your man.
Good. That's good. So he's like, he reaches inside, hands you the 4th business card you've been handed to today, but this one's embossed with proper text writing and all that. Yeah. Stupid. Christian Bale, stupid.
I love it though. What's it say on it? Because he hasn't introduced himself to me yet.
Yeah. His name is Vander Sykes.
All right. Aha, Mr. Sykes. Nice to meet you. So anyway,
Hey.
what can I do for you?
Well, I have a keen interest in things that are strange and unusual, and lately things have been getting very strange and very unusual. I'm actually here on behalf of someone who's interested in the same kinds of things that I am and will be acting as benefactor under the circumstances. I have a short list of, individuals that I was hoping to find, along with a singular piece that they might be connected to. Now, the problem is that artifact that we're looking for, or the object. It doesn't really have a very good description, but we've heard good things. I assume it's probably technological in origin, but I mean, this day and age, anything's possible. Like he hands over like a small slate. It like fits in his pocket. He just passes it along.
Okay.
He's gonna shiv you.
I'll grab it and look it over. What am I seeing?
Well, and I'll come up with the names in a moment, but there's a list of 4 names involved, and he leans back. Well, these individuals seem to be responsible for the use of this particular device, and the reason why it's of keen interest is because, well, research and technology is of a rather important nature nowadays, given the fact that you can already tell. He indicates his own face and circumstances. I tend to rely on technology quite a bit in order to procure what I do. So this would just add to what they have going on. There's some references in the dossiers involved that would indicate a few things, but I just would hope that maybe someone like yourself, who's smaller and not really well known, can be discreet and get what I need without attracting too much attention. There's at least 5K in this for you, at least a start.
Right. What do you want me to do once I find these folks?
Well, we need to know locations. We need to understand what they are, what they're hiding. And if you can find that information out, the 5K is yours. If you can obtain the object itself as a whole, once you've done any kind of investigative work that is suited to your talents, well, then we'll add a bonus. Because it's the object that we really want, and reverse engineering would make things easier.
And what is this object? What am I looking for?
Well, like I said, we don't really know what it is. We only know what it does.
Okay.
It seems to do some sort of speed enhancement. At least that's what we think it does. But it's hard to know if that's actually exactly what it's doing. We have to get the tech before we can understand what it does. But the various security footage that we have compiled in there as well should help inform you as to what I'm talking about.
All right.
He just nods his head. Make an awareness check real quick.
Uh, 13.
Sure enough.
I spelled awareness wrong. I'm not very aware of my own typing.
So with a 15, you actually catch sight of something on his collar. It's unusual.
What's that? Like, what do I?
You don't know. It's something vaguely metallic, but it doesn't look like a brooch, and it's not where you'd put anything. He's so well trimmed up that having any kind of flaw along the lapel or the collar line would be a mistake. You know that you wouldn't do that, so it's very odd. You catch sight of it and can't get your eyes off of it. You're stuck on there. You just see it there.
Staring at me.
He's like, he kind of turns to his right. He goes, "Is there something wrong?"
I mean, you are quite put together. I can't help but notice the unique piece you've got right here.
What unique piece? He reaches up. He's like, "The hell's that?" Like that. He reaches down. He's like, "Oh shit!" Like puts it on the table and smashes it. Fuck. He's like,
I guess it wasn't yours.
He's like, "No, it wasn't mine. As a matter of fact, that's a problem." And then we're gonna go over to where Malcolm and Danny and Barnaby are coming up inside of the elevator.
Hey, so he has a guest.
What?
Yeah, so it goes ding like that, and you start with that. And Barnaby's like, guest? Like sock on the door guest? Or
What
What
does
does that
sock
mean?
on the door mean?
like, he's just sort of like, I am hanging out with absolute cretins. Anyway,
Too young
no.
and too old. I love it.
Yeah.
He's right in the space between.
Yeah, we got a tail downstairs.
He's like,
Hugh got
Yeah.
blasted.
Concerns me because Hugh now has a guest. Shall
do
we?
you think that they're working together for something?
I
don't
mean-
care.
Well, he's just like, that's not good. He like basically loosens up the pistol. And he's
And
got his like,
Malcolm walks straight in, just like opens the door, goes, Hugh, we have
well, he's
guests."
like, you can see that he's like in mid conversation. He turns around, so you can see the guy's a little aggravated. He's like, oh great.
Danny goes and hits all the buttons on
You
the
just hear
elevator.
the audible click of the blade just kind of loosening, and the scabbard says, "Friends of yours."
He's like, let me guess. There's some, well, unseemly looking person or people that have been sort of in nearby area.
Are you new to Night City?
And he's just sort of like, no, but they'd be specifically targeting me. And he's like, I just found something, a small bug or a tracer on my collar.
See, friend. Let's protect him. He's a client now.
Oh,
He's just
you accepted his money?
That's
So
right
now
here.
he's under your protection?
Donnie.
That's
Like you pay an attorney
any
$1?
level of God's grace, in bestowing upon his wisdom upon our worthless souls, does this surprise you?
in the middle of this conversation. There's the door at the very far end of the hallway opens up because it looks like the elevator, despite hitting all of the buttons, is kind of amidst doing whatever jargony, janky stuff it's going to do, given all the floors. But you hear the stairwell door open up instead, and then whatever this thing is comes into the full view of the hallway.
What does Malcolm see? I didn't do an awareness.
Well, you see exactly what they saw out there on the front. It looks probably not more than 5'8" at most, but it's metallic. It's all metal. You've heard this term thrown around by people. It looks like it's a rig, which means robot, bot, or something non-human. But it is sleekly built. We're talking like when it moves, you can't hear it.
So Malcolm's
And, yeah.
only response when he notices it is this. I have a little tolerance for this. And then he just blades unsheathed and he's just going. He's been in a bad mood
Yeah.
all day.
You're up
Yeah,
you're
that-
up during your nighttime hours. You're basically
You had
pulling
that hour of
quote
respite.
unquote grave shift for a vampire.
Yeah, so he's been dealing with sunlight and Hugh
Yeah.
and,
I don't know
Time
why
change.
Hugh
You know,
and Danny, and he's just like, nope. If it looks like a metal golem, those
He
things
walks like a metal golem.
us before.
Well, you
Is it-
draw a sword. You draw a sword, and then Barnaby follows up because he's not going to be slow on the draw for that. So he's out, and he's got it positioned up here, and he's just going like, any weapons you've got on you, don't bring them up. Be nice and slow. And it just kind of stands there, completely stock still, for a very brief moment, like it's assessing something. There's just that faint hint, almost like it's receiving orders.
By that point, Malcolm has used his full speed to get right in front of it.
So more or less, you're pushing it like almost a sprint, or at
Yeah.
a sprint. Okay.
with your movement, isn't your move like 10 or something?
His run is 21 meet. Did we change that?
Well, I still use meters in my head. I don't know why. We're gonna have to use yards for everybody else, but meters is what I use in my brain.
Okay, so
Freedom
21
unit.
meters. Like his sprint is 42 meters.
Right. So to put this into this realm of perspective,
What's your
here,
mobility?
7.
Okay.
11.
I need to get all my abilities to 11. I've just decided that.
So
Yeah.
you move it. You at full sprint. You're running at 30 miles an hour.
Jesus Christ.
Like, a vampire.
Yeah.
Just think of Twilight when they run into the woods.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Except for not nearly as dorky looking. At least I can. Yeah. It's probably the best scene out of the whole damn series.
And they replicated it in Madam Web.
What?
Yeah, not as an homage or parody. Just
That's what happened.
bad cinematography.
Oof.
hilarious.
Okay, well, regardless, he goes at a full
Your
sprint.
tracks of that.
This thing responds with lightning speed, basically an anticipating attack. So, at the moment, there's no need to run any particular initiative. You just have to basically roll on your. It's a clash, because I'm sure you're swinging at this point.
Oh yeah. He hasn't gone full warrior instinct, but yeah, 3 attacks. So let me just. Malcolm's in the mood.
I ain't got time for this shit. I'm too old.
Yeah, 1d10 plus. Okay, so that's plus 2 to the 17, so it's 19.
Doing math.
Math.
I love that we can see the rolls now, though.
Yeah, that actually is pretty helpful. So am I doing this as one roll together or 3 separate
No, you're
rolls?
going to do 3 separate rolls, one
Okay.
for each attack, because they're each in action in and of themselves.
Oops.
Whoopsie doodles.
D19.
You forgot the front part of the command there.
Oh, and I did D19. Oh my god, this is so ingrained in my psyche. I did not.
roll D19.
Well, actually, no, it's not D19. He actually has a plus 19. That's hilarious.
Oh, jeez.
Well, yeah, I mean, still, nonetheless, you saw 19, you were like, that's a D19. This might be kind of prominent. Let's see if this actually...
I always think of 2319 from Monsters, Inc.
Yep.
2319! 2319!
So he got a 23
What's
on
with
the
that?
first
Oh, you got a 10. I got you. Okay.
roll. He had 23 on the first attack. He got a 35 on the second. And he's just going to use 1 luck just to not make that a botch.
He's just boosting it. Okay. So that would be a 21. Because it counts it anyways. So, yeah. You said your first roll was a what?
First roll is 23, 35, 21.
It's interesting that the 23 does not show up. Oh, there it is. I got you. That was weird. Must have missed it. Okay, got it. All right, so the first attack you come swinging in, it manages to push the blade aside, but it makes a misstep because the second time that you bring the blade out and over, because you just do, a decisive forward cut towards the chest area, which, it deflects and tries to put distance, but you manage to close that distance very quickly and hit it very hard across the underside of the rib area if it had those. I mean, it goes pwang, like whenever the sword hits, it's hard because you're hitting nothing but metal and armor. Damage?
Damage is because it's not enhanced either. So, 16.
16? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at this point, it's one of those things where, actually, I forgot. I actually have to do this a little bit. So, you cut into it. You basically bite into the material, but it doesn't sink hard enough. Even with what was your total roll there? Because it was actually 16 plus the rest of it. I forgot about that. Because he also botched. That's the reason why you hit him that hard.
Well, he has the
16. Wow. Okay, so it would have been 32 damage, and he would have only absorbed. So he actually gets cut pretty bad. I mean, like the cut goes in, you almost lose your blade inside of the metal, like it gets snagged for half a second, and then you wrench it free. The last and final of the attacks just whiffs as he kind of moves out of the way. Now it doesn't stop its movement whatsoever. There is this weird kind of like power-up noise that occurs right when that happens too. So here's like that as it comes into play. It shifts its weight in an extremely unnatural way and goes right through the door where it came in. The door was closed. It blasts right through it like it was paper. making some kind of escape. There's even a level of exhaust and vapor that's in the hallway. So
Wow.
you hit it once and you can hear it moving down the steps at rapid speed, but it just darts. Now you were expecting it to like return fire in some way. You even hear like Barnaby from behind is like, holy shit, like that. He goes running up to where you're at. Did that thing just like leave?
That Malcolm's his head's just like this, like quizzical. And he just kind of looks at
It doesn't
just-
happen to us.
I mean, usually they try to kill us. I mean, this.
Maybe he really is after that guy.
Well, do you step through? Do you go to follow it at all, or?
He basically says, Barnaby, I'll hold this position. You gather the others.
And he's just sort of like, all right then. But he like he basically holsters his pistol, goes back up to the hallway to where Hugh, Danny, and your Mr. Sykes is currently residing. Sykes is actually down the hallway. He just looks over at Barnaby. You can hear this in the background as you're heading down. He's just like, did that bearded asshole pull a sword and just hit a robot with it?
Yeah,
And Barnaby's like,
he's my friend.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
And it's like he turns back over to where Hugh is. He's like, yeah, you're hired. This is weird as hell.
Glad to be of service.
He's like, well, I'm going to remain here for a short period of time while, Gingerbread out there goes to figure out what the hell's going on. So you go down the steps. Malcolm, can you roll an awareness check, please?
Music is great, by the way.
Nice. 10.
Well, he rolled a 4, but it should be 14.
Okay. So, with a 14, you're basically in this position. You hear something odd for a second, like a very subtle, like very faint click. There's a pop, and now I need you to make a body essence check, please. And it's going to be target 9.
Damn.
Oh, dang.
He's good.
Oh, double explode.
Yep. So you succeed on this check, and the thing is that it's a huge blast of white light and a really strong sound. You basically just crossed over a trip line with flashbang, and it left it behind. But you actually pull through that because, first of all, you don't suffer any kind of pain problem, but the disorientation wears off almost immediately. When you get yourself reoriented, which is fairly quick, this stairwell going down is still empty. If you want to make a tactics roll, you can.
Hey. Scott, I know that guy.
Yeah.
Hey,
He's utterly insane.
in a good way,
What
or
are we talking about?
Anyway.
In the OOC.
you gotta scroll down.
Yeah.
I'm just observing the, oh my god.
Yeah. No, I know.
Oh, of course you would know that guy, dude. Is he from your same school?
No, he's European. He's from a European
Oh man,
school.
he's very fluid. Nice.
Yeah, and insane. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, let's do a tactics roll.
Yes, please.
Final Fantasy Tactics. Best of the Final Fantasy games.
So we're going to do tactics. 17.
Ooh.
So you realize that whatever this rig is doing, it's only covering its retreat. it may have been here on a purely informational level. Whenever it received orders, it didn't try to kill. It just retrieved information and got the hell out of there fast.
Did it see?
It did not see the person who was, it did not see Mr. Sykes in Hugh's office.
Okay.
But it's clear that obviously this rig was sent as a follow or a tail, and found its target. In the moment that it encountered Bill, took the hit and basically said nope and got the hell out of there.
As you do.
So it's essentially gone.
Yeah. You don't know what it did. It used some sort of system that it had employed for an expedient escape. This door, when you come back up, has this. It's almost like a human-sized bullet went through it, because it's just blown apart from the center and the down. Yeah, not in the image thing like Wile E. Coyote, but definitely, it's just pried open because the door opens inward, and it went against that. The bar and everything else, it was loud when it did that. It sounded like a car crash in the hallway. And then, of course, the flashbangs went off, and then you come back up the stairs, and you've got Barnaby running at full tilt down the hallway, trying to get to where he's just like, oh, crap, you all right?
I'm fine.
Hey, I would suggest that we leave. It's gone.
It's like, where is it? What do you mean, left? Like, left?
Hugh, do you have a way to scan for bugs?
Do I?
Yeah, you might have a bug detector.
Let's make sure that
The
he's
DM
not
dice will
carrying
say
anything else.
you do not have a bug detector in your office because you are so damn gullible and trusting. You don't really assume that anybody would bug your office.
Fair enough. That makes sense. I mean, yeah. What can I say?
But yep. So at this point, you now have a new client that just kind of showed up out of nowhere, and then you have this odd thing that seems to be tracking him. The client seems legitimately so far, but now you have a compilation of things that you can work with. Luckily enough, there doesn't seem to be any particular time in it. So at the present moment, let's see here. We're going to have to call it quits because we're at the top of the hour here.
Top of the hour to you.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's fun.
Yeah.
Always like investigations and stuff. Any chance to use our other skills?
Well, and you guys have been, indentured into the world. It hasn't been like this realm, this realm, this realm, this realm, this realm. Though I am so in love with doing that. Ugh.
Yeah, well, this realm has had a very detrimental effect on Malcolm's attitude on life.
Yeah. Yep.
And Danny, he's jaded, and he's only 16.
And Malcolm's an old man who's just going, nope, I'm done.
Well, needless to say, to me, it feels like the party and the elements that needed to be there are finally starting to come together and cohese. Cohese is not a word. It's starting to coalesce. Yeah, it's starting to come together and fuse together in a way that makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's all like these desperate motions and moves. But yeah. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream now. But thanks for everybody who came by watching, because I've noticed that there's been some few. And hope to see you again when we play it again on Thursday next week. Take it easy, y'all.